Welcome to the Product Summit. Are you excited to be here?
Yeah, very excited. Looking forward to talk to folks and share my experience on
Amazing.
product operations.
Yeah, I cannot wait to hear your speech. Can you give me a small summary of what you're going to talk about today?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about building product operations from the ground, share my experience, because a year and a half ago, I was at the beginning of my way to build this function from the ground. And I'm going to share some practical things and pain points and challenges that I faced with.
Mm-hmm. And if you would be like one thing that people should remember from your talk, what should be that thing?
Yeah, I think the main thing is that product ops is the unique function for each company. It really depends on the unique criteria circumstances for the certain company. But anyway, there are some market patterns, recurring things that you can rely on and get an inspiration from other companies.
Definitely. And you mentioned a bit about the challenging. What do you think is the most challenging part from product ops?
Try to structure the things, but not add more bureaucracy and help the teams to navigate within all these processes and formal things that are typical for fast scaling organizations and big companies.
Definitely. But yeah, thank you so much. You just finished almost your talk. It was amazing. I really enjoyed it. I really love, especially like when you talked about the product catalog, because I feel like that's also a mess in my company and usually when I work for, because I was like, no one finding the information.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. Maybe you want to give a summary of what you have talked about so that also people know.
Yeah, should I talk to the camera there?
Yeah.
So I gave a few examples of product artifacts that we built at my previous company. One of them you mentioned was a product catalog. It's one source of one single entry point for people in the organization to find product-related resources. Think of documentation, artifacts, roadmaps, sales materials, code repositories, making it easily accessible and making sure that the information is always maintained at the source. So catalog is not intended to duplicate information or to document information. It's intended as one central hub to find information that you need and to make it easily accessible for people.
Definitely. And if you say that there is one thing that people should remember from your talk, what do you think that is?
From my whole talk,
Yeah.
well, product operations turns data into better decisions.
Yeah, that's true. True. And if you could say maybe something that you feel like is the most exciting part from your job currently, what would that be?
Well, currently I'm not working anymore as a product operations officer. So going back to my previous job where I was product operations, I really love the interaction you have with so many different stakeholders and being able to drive an organization forward. So I worked obviously in the product and technology domain, working with many product managers and product owners, but also with developers, also with the sales team. You're constantly helping them, enabling them to better sell the product portfolio, working together with the services teams, leadership in different levels, driving roadmap conversations and making better decisions for our roadmaps and for the development, but also working with people who have great ideas in improving how we operate as a company. So it's a very broad playfield of different roles.
Yeah, that's so true. And then if you could go a bit back of your like younger self that just entered the world of product ops, what would be one piece of advice you would give yourself?
Start small and iterate. Start small and iterate. When I started, I wanted to create a vision, a structure, and a lot of artifacts, and I had big, hairy, audacious goals. But in the end, a complex organization sometimes moves slowly, and you need to prove your worth to these stakeholders. So if you start small and iterate and provide value as quickly as possible, you earn trust, and you can then start building more.
Definitely. Also, like what advice I got in a way or another is like not start with the perfect product, because it's very hard to get there. Maybe start with something and then get the feedback and make it better and better and all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Okay, so I know you just had an amazing talk. I really enjoyed it, and also about like talking more about like agents, and I think that's the era we're going towards in a way or another. So I'm very curious if you could give us a small summary of what have you talked until now.
Sure. Thanks for having me. I chatted a bit today about how we've developed product operations at Airtable and what that journey's been like. It started out about 5 years ago, building the foundation for just creating a central source of truth for what are we building, who's building it, when is it releasing, etc. And then atop that, I chatted today about how we build automations workflows to do things like eliminate manual reporting, take Zoom meetings and automatically update projects. And then lately, our focus has been on agents and just this, massive increase in people building agents and how we support everyone getting great answers.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm very curious maybe to give yourself like what do you think will be the most important thing that people should remember from your talk? Will be one thing.
Oof.
The
I would say agents are not like us. Agents have different needs than people do. Both people and agents need, quality information about what's being built and, where they can find info. But people, are looking, they're sitting in front of a computer, they're using a system, whereas agents have like this wide perspective and are capable of connecting dots. That can be good. That can also create new challenges. So the introduction of agents creates even more for product ops to do. But the juice is worth the squeeze.
Yeah, that's really good indeed. And also I know that with this like new era of AI and agents, and also know that for some companies the adoption it's really hard. Like it's very hard to like change human behavior, especially like learning how to work with an agent from now on. What do you think is like the most challenging part of like switching a bit human behavior of like accepting to collaborate with agents?
I think collaboration is the right word, and people should be using it more. We've been thinking too much about, how do we hand off work to agents? What do we outsource? What do we no longer do? But that isn't what I'm seeing. I see, increasingly folks are working with agents, like just viewing agents as partners. Um, that means though that we have to ask the agents what they need and view it as a two-way street. It's not that we are, uh, it has to be viewed as more of an equal partnership where we're both building product operations together.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree because I think that was like one thing that I always try to push that we should stop thinking that AI is some magicians that is doing everything and understands from one sentence what we want because that's not happening and we really should like try to like see it as like maybe we're the bit of like the orchestrator and we are helping and working together in a way or another. But yeah, pretty much that was it. Thank you so much. So your talk, I think it was pretty good. I really like you made some interaction and jokes, and I also like your point about how if you're just throwing garbage to AI, of course garbage is going to go out.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe you give a bit of a summary of what you talked about.
Yeah, so like my talk was mainly about saying like the organizational design is by default driving the collaboration between product and engineering. So wherever you have a problem with the collaboration, you cannot fix it just introducing tools or the processes because the tools and the processes, they actually will not fix the base problem. It will actually just make a feeling that something got better, but it's not at the end. At the end, you need to think about your organizational design and design the collaboration through the organizational structure of the team, structure of the decision making, given the mandate for the teams in the area they have to decide, given the options for the team, how they can decide, eliminate where you can eliminate the dependencies between the teams so you can enable the speed, you can enable the conversation, and you should actually focus your teams around the problems, not just giving a task for them.
Yeah, definitely. And I also know that you mentioned a lot that maybe we should create the teams around the clients and their solutions.
Yep.
Do you want to talk a bit more about that one?
Yeah, so like I saw many teams that is actually structured around something that doesn't make any sense for the end customer. For example, like the systems inside, like, or the part of the product, or for example, the checkout team, payment teams, but like none of them is owning the end-to-end results, or they only the part of the customer journey or some component in the system within. So in this in such particular design, all of the collaboration is the task given between the teams. It's not built for the collaboration, right? So you need to rethink how you design the teams around the customer problems, values that you're delivering, and that structure will actually enable them to much deeper think about how they can execute the task, what is the boundaries they have, how it will be done technically and from the product perspective.
Yeah, definitely. And then if you have like one thing that people should remember from your talk, which one should be?
Yeah, like probably the one thing that I would like people to remember from my talk is the following. You actually need to understand what is your system is optimized for. So what is the optimization goal of the structure that you build? Because no one is actually thinking about the optimization goal, right? We are thinking about the business goals. We are thinking about the KPIs, customer metrics, and so on, right? But like, what is the measurement of our system? What is the goal design? Are we optimizing how busy are our teams, or are we optimizing like the handoff, right? Or we optimizing the customer value, and like, and what is the metrics we actually build for ourselves to understand that we work in under the optimization goal that we want the team work, like for example, speed or high adaptability, right? It depends, and like you have to start with the optimization goal, bro.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that. And also, I know that everyone is doing a bit of AI in a way or another because that's the buzzword, even if you don't want to recognize. What's your opinion about how AI is going to transform the new workplace?
I have a global thought. I don't think the AI is a product by itself yet. So it doesn't have the components of the actual product. The actual product, you know exactly how you will use it. So, for example, you say Notion, and you exactly know how the Notion works, right? You have Google, and you know how the Google works. You know what the task you can give that. But AI today, like either it's Claude, Codex, whatever, Gemini, whatever you use, Perplexity, right? It's actually the mix of the tools we are trying right now to find out how we're gonna use it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so we don't have a product out of this yet.
Oh,
So
wow,
everything we're doing is just a pure experimentation. Like, what if we will do this? And like, oh wow, it's a good result. But then, like in a month, you see the consequences. You see the consequences. Like, fuck, that's probably not what we discussed. It should work like, and you change. With the real product, when it's like boxed as a product, it's rarely happening like this.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So it's like more the toolkit right now. We are trying to understand how it's gonna be transformed to a product. For example, you can see like the Claude and the Codex, the ChatGPT OpenAI, right? They're shipping updates almost daily, and we can understand the adoption rate of the features they pack there is very low actually, because we cannot like use everything they're shipping. So they're also trying to ship as much as possible, see how the people is using this, then like forget about some stuff and focus on the other. So they are trying to find out what is the product about, how it can be used, what is the real use cases.
Yeah, that's true. And also, it's a lot of time he says that like AI is that black box that you
Yeah.
don't really understand how it's reasoning and how it's creating, because in the end, it's like just a pattern that repeats, not necessarily some new magician tricks.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious then, if you have this opinion, do you think AI will ever be in the point to be actually a product?
Yeah, I think
I
think yeah. We'll find out how and where, and I think that will happen pretty soon within this year. I think it's gonna happen.
Okay, amazing. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for being here. I know that you yesterday had a great session of a roundtable, so maybe you want to give a summary of what happened there.
Yes. So I led a discussion around scaling product operations and measuring it. And before this session, we actually had a keynote speaker that talked about it. So I didn't want to repeat the same information twice. So instead, I had people go around the large table and talk about themselves, where they come from, what company they work from, what is the challenge they have with scaling ops and measuring, and then having their peers talk about what solutions worked for them. And of course, I chimed in a little as well with my own experience.
Yeah, of course.
So we spent a good 40 minutes doing that. And I didn't hear too much feedback in the beginning about it. But then this morning I started to hear from people that they liked it. So that was really
that's
nice.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's always so good to have like good feedback to know that it was good.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Was it anything there in the conversation that you were like, oh wow, I didn't expect that?
I think a good portion of the people have this challenge where product operations is seen as working on operation only problems, where really it's a strategic function of the product team. It's not just a service center. So going from the idea of service center and stepping out as more as a strategic partner is one of the bigger challenges that I see across not just from the roundtable, but really what I'm hearing from the last 2 days. So that's been really nice because that's also the experience that I've had in the time that I have been doing product operations.
Yeah, definitely. And what do you think would be some steps to overcome that challenge?
Yeah. So I know what I did for myself was first really get into the content, into the way that people work, how they work, and understand their challenges. And then after a period of time, say, okay, no more. I need to step out of that imaginary role and redefine my role so that I can start fixing problems at a horizontal scale.
Definitely.
So you need to, I would say, decide you're going to take a 2 week sprint to think about your strategy, and then you can start coming up with your goals for the rest of the year to move on from there.
Definitely, definitely. I think that's a good one. And then I know that with the new era of AI, maybe things are changing in a way or another. I'm very curious to see, like, how do you see AI changing your day-to-day work?
Yeah, for me, AI has been a great enabler. I've been using personally AI for at least 3.5 years or so, mostly like a Copilot or OpenAI. So for me, it reduces the time it takes for me to gather my thoughts and then spit out a report, a PowerPoint, a Word doc. And now I'm starting to go into, okay, that's has been really fun. I'm really efficient at these things. Now, how can I take that to the next level
Yeah.
and build some skills on top of that? But I do think it creates a better time to market for yourself as far as like how quickly you can get things done. So it really
Definitely.
enables you to move to the next level in your role.
That's great. Okay, well, thank you so much. I'm also happy that you're using Copilot. I'm from Microsoft, so that's great feedback for us. But yeah, thank you so much. I know that you've been the host for the event in Oregon, and also you did a great speech. Can you tell me the correct feeling of the event that you speak about?
Yeah, so what I just really like is this community feeling and having like roughly 50 to 80 different companies in one room. Everyone has their own experiences, but also we have very similar challenges. Like this, how do you get people to change what they do, and really how can you accelerate that change? And that's something where this community is really at the center of a lot of companies. So you can really see what are the big changes and what are the big challenges, and how do you sort of find the right way to navigate through the data. But that's what I really like about this like this movement. That's why it's the first time now that I'm.
Oh wow, nice. Yeah, I think it's like great to just like stay along, and I feel like this is really was with today's event. It was something like actually talking more with each other, so that's good to see.
Yeah.
But if you are doing a bit of like a main takeaway you have from this event,
Ooh, good question. I think for me the main takeaway is that a year ago it was really a flat box what everyone is doing in AI. Now, 1 year further, I think a lot of companies are putting the pieces together a bit more. And where like unknown was first massively unknown, it's becoming a bit more known. So you don't really know yet how to get there, but what are the next steps is becoming more clear. And small companies can just go a bit quicker because they have less legacy that they need to work around. They have less people who are super used to work in a certain way for years and years and years. But also they have completely different market conditions. So they need to react super fast to show their product market fit everywhere, where bigger companies have a bit more time to adjust and to find their ways in this state, like era of AI.
Definitely. I think it's so true, especially like a lot of people in a company was talking a bit like when you have a big organization, you need to start to be setting everything because it needs to be prepared for AI. It needs to have a specific logic template. You cannot just push everything and hope for the best because it's really not work.
Yeah. So what's your biggest takeaway?
Biggest takeaway. I think for me one of the biggest one was the fact that they're talking about like when we had that also like in math we have that term do you aware on that? So I was like, oh wow, maybe we get to learn about do we need it or not, because a lot of the times there is a lot of uncertainty to go to product is really focused on like their solution. Now like that side and also they talked a bit about like the product element where all the information was so true, which I feel like I was like, oh wow, we 100% need that because there is so much information everywhere for us and we never know which is the most updated one. So I think that was like kind of
Really cool.
and also last question from my side, I know that AI is coming more and more as a buzzword. How do you develop engagements that you call that in terms of
Ooh, good question. I think too broad to get a good answer, to be honest. When I look at product art specifically, I think the big shift is from doing a lot of governance and processes really to orchestrating on a transversal level across whole teams how they utilize AI. So of course per company will be different, but I think if in 2 years every product ops person you are still only doing processes like you did in 2023, you will have a big problem.
Yeah, it's not going well.
No.
Yeah, this one. Thanks so
Yeah.
much.